This is the InfatuAsian podcast, where I get together with a few friends and talk about Asian things and Asian people that we love. I'm your host, Curtis, and on today's episode, we'll be doing part 2 of our episode on music. Hey everyone, before we get started on part 2 of our session with Christy and Tani, I wanted to take a minute to give a quick shout out to some folks who wrote to say hi. Thanks to Brian. Brian, thanks for writing in. You were the first person to actually use the InfatuAsian podcast at gmail.com email. So, hey, you're first, bud. And Amy, thank you for taking some time to write in. I really appreciated your kind words. Thank you for that. John messaged me on Facebook, gave me some great feedback, and so it's always good to hear how I can improve things that you like. Thank you so much for that. Also, Leah wrote in and said that she was going to recommend us to her friend Angela. Angela, are you listening? Are you out there, Angela? Come say hi too. But thanks, Leah, not just for listening, but for recommending us to your friends. The rest of you can do that too, please. That would help us so much. If you think there's someone out there that might like our podcast, please send them a note. Tell them to find us on Apple, Google, Spotify, wherever they get their podcasts. Thank you, Leah. Also, Yvette, Wendy, Holly, you shared my post on Instagram. Thanks so much for that. Recommending us to other people, that really helps us. And Bye wrote in. Hi, Bye.
Hey, Bye.
Christy says hi, too. We miss you, and thanks for your kind words. Also, my friend Glenn wrote, and he said that he would be more than willing to drive by and drop off some balut to me. Thanks, Glenn, but you know what? I think I'm going to pass on that offer so that other people can enjoy the Filipino delicacy of balut. But thank you so much for offering, Glenn. That was really kind of you. We also got some good-natured criticism. My friend Ron wrote and said, hey, man, where's the South Asian food? I know. We got to get out there and do another food episode. Got to mix it up a little bit. I know I need some recommendations for maybe some good Indian food, Bengali food, Vietnamese, Thai, Filipino, Central Asian, Mongolian. There's so much Asian food that we got to get out there and try. So, yeah, next food episode, we'll try to mix it up a little bit. So thanks for that, Ron. Also, my cousin Brett wrote in and said, hey, how are you going to talk about Asian food for over an hour and not mention sushi? I got it. I know. That was a travesty. And I know there's a ton of sushi lovers out there. So go ahead, send me your sushi restaurants that you want to recommend to others, and I'll make sure to give them a shout out. Not only that, I'll try them because I definitely live with a couple sushi lovers here. Special thanks to Nadira. Nadira, hey! From episode number 1, she lives in Australia, as you heard, but she has friends and family all over the world. So we got listeners in Australia, Malaysia, Singapore, Hong Kong, Indonesia. So thanks, Nadira, for being our international correspondent. I hope that your friends have stuck around and listened to us. And Nadira also went on to mention that Coco Lee, of course, Coco Lee did the end credit song on the Asian version of Mulan, and she even voiced the Mulan character. So in America, we had Christina, Disney, right? So we had Christina Aguilera do the end credit song. But overseas, Taiwan, Hong Kong, China, you guys got Coco. So that's pretty cool. So thank you for reminding me of that, Nadira. Also, special shout out to my podcast heroes and mentors over at K-Drama My Eyes Out. They were kind of our inspiration for doing this podcast, and they gave us a nice on-air plug last week. So much love for them. If you do like K-dramas, check them out. K-Drama My Eyes Out at all the regular places you get podcasts. They are much more of experts than we are. So yeah, give them a listen. Thanks for the shout out. Let's see, did I miss anyone? Let's see. Oh, Yuming. Yuming actually agreed to be my bounce. She's going to let me bounce ideas off of her, and so that's what we need. I need people to let me know how to make this thing better. It's kind of lonely down here in the InfatuAsian recording studio, aka my basement. So it's good to have some fresh ears letting me know how we can improve and letting me know what you guys might want to hear. So yeah, send me input on anything that you want to hear us do. We have some exciting episodes coming up, but I can always use more ideas. All right, well, that's it for the shout-outs. Thank you all for writing in or messaging me. The rest of you can do so, Facebook Messenger, or you can also email me at InfatuAsianPodcast@gmail.com. But let's get back to the show. We're going to talk a little bit more about music. And so here is episode number 4.2. Thanks, everyone. And we're back. This is part 2 of our episode on music. Welcome back, everyone.
Hi.
Hey.
Last week was super fun. I had such a good time listening to the songs that you guys recommended. I hope everyone out there had fun listening to it as well. And we're going to make some more picks this week, but before we do, I wanted to take a minute to get to know our 2 co-hosts better. We are rejoined by my friends Christy and Tani, and I have a question for both of you. How did you get into music? Or, in other words, when did you know that music was going to be a big part of your life?
I mean, I mentioned that I took piano when I was a kid, like many other Asian children. That did not tell me that music was going to be big in my life. I hated it. Funny story, apparently, and I don't have any recollection of this, but apparently at one point I was like such a brat, did not want to go to piano lessons. My mom told me that she had offered me a bribe, basically, I'll give you 50 cents if you go to your lesson every week. And one week I came to her and I gave her 50 cents and I said, now I don't have to go. So it was a auspicious start, right? But I would say I was always into like listening. Like as a kid, there weren't a lot of musical influences that I was really allowed to listen to, except like soft rock in the car when we're driving somewhere, or, you know, like church music and whatever. But I was really into the music that I was exposed to. My parents would comment on, like, I learned lyrics really quickly to the soft rock stations that we were listening to. I'd be like singing along and they'd be like, how do you know this song? I'm like, we listen to it. It's here. I don't know. You're listening to it too. Why don't you know the words? But like in church, I was doing like choir and things like that. So I was always like surrounded by music. But I would say it probably wasn't until like middle school when I really got into playing it myself. Started to learn how to play guitar a little late middle school, I think, and just singing in school. Was in a musical in middle school and stuff like that. Brigitte in Sound of Music, yes.
Hey.
But I would say maybe middle school, high school is when I was really getting into it as a fan, like learning about my own taste in music and being able to pick what I listened to. And then in high school, just getting into playing with friends and stuff like that.
Yeah. All right. And then I know you love going to concerts. And funny story. So Christy and I were working at school together, and the kids noticed that you always ate peanut butter jelly sandwiches for lunch every day. And one day they asked you, why do you always eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches every day? And you said, well, I like to go to concerts. So I'm saving money so that I can go to concerts. Is that basically true?
I mean, I would say a large part of my spending money is spent on concerts. Yeah. Pre-pandemic, I probably went to like, I would say 3 or 4 shows a month. Kind of like once a week, but usually it wasn't once a week. It was like 3 in a week and then a couple weeks off. And yeah, it's a rock and roll lifestyle.
Rock and roll lifestyle. Yeah, no, like a Tuesday night.
Yeah.
I see you posting on Instagram. I'm like, whoa, okay.
And I'll probably get into it later, but I also have like, I play in bands, but also I'm friends with a lot of musicians. So a lot of it is not, seeing the big headliners, but going to see my friends' bands play when they're opening up for someone else and things like that. So.
Yeah, cool. How about you, Tony? When did you first realize you're getting into music?
My earliest memories, babysitter was over. I was probably like 5 years old. My brothers and I at home listening to the radio, and Kool and the Gang Celebration was like the big hit at the time. It's going to date me, I know. But remembering like wanting to dial in to request that song, like, and call it, like back when we had to dial in and you can call and request songs. As a little kid, I remember like feeling the excitement of doing that. So that's like one of my earliest memories. And then piano lessons, just like you, Christy. I started pretty young. I never practiced. I hated it.
Did you pay to get out of it?
I did not. But I do have memories of being scolded quite viciously by my mother to practice throughout like all the 12 years that I took it. But the theory of music and taking those lessons I took into DJing. And that's kind of like, I can't sing. I've always wanted to try other instruments, but I never really did. But when I discovered DJing and, turntables and vinyl, the music theory definitely helped me with mixing and being able to like put song to song together. And then when you could see the crowd and how they react when you go from one to the next, and then being able to be that guy to like pick the songs that are going to make the people on the floor react. That feeling is just like, and I was not a big time like club DJ or anything like that. Like we're talking like high schools, college frat parties, eventually into weddings and things like that. But just, I was friends and peers with a lot of like the radio DJs and things. It transferred from DJing into the whole executive production, and like from having an ear for music to having an eye for talent, an ear and an eye for talent, to be able to like pick one artist that I could work with or a group that I could work with. And that's how it led to One Voice. And there, there was some minor success there. So, yeah, I mean, the earliest memories were, just the love of the song and hearing a song that I loved and getting excited about that. So
I feel like we should put in a little caveat. Parents who are listening right now, we are not saying don't put your kids in piano lessons.
That's the big thing that I'm going through with my kids right now. I've got a daughter who is like fighting me on it right now. I don't like it. Why are you making me do this? And in my mind, I know that I didn't like it, but something good came from it, right? Like, and I know my kids love music, but forcing them into piano, it's like, do I do that or not? Like it happened to me. It happened to you. Good things came of it. And I think piano lessons, there's benefits to it no matter what. Sure. So I don't know, we'll see how it leads.
Yeah, no, I didn't last very long either. I took piano lessons, but my mom wasn't real militant. She was like, if you don't like it, don't do it. So I quit after like 2 years. But like you said, it laid the groundwork. So I played band in middle school, and then in college I picked up a guitar. And yeah, the theory, the rhythms, time signatures, that kind of stuff was all from the first couple of years of piano, learning how to read music a little bit. And so, yeah, I'm glad I did it. And my kids are doing it, I'm making them do it, but they actually kind of like it. So no torture needed for them. But yeah, if you could, I don't know. I agree with you, Christy. I think parents should try at least. You got to try. We are going to get back into our request in a minute, but before we do that, I think we wanted to talk a little bit about some things that are happening in the world positively through Asian musicians. And the first one I want to mention is a Korean-American jazz saxophone player named Jordan VanHemert. He was adopted, but he identifies as a Korean-American. He's at a New Hope College in Holland, Michigan, and he teaches jazz and saxophone there. And he has a new album that he wrote during this pandemic, and several months ago, as well as just ongoing, there have been a slew of attacks against Asian Americans, especially elderly Asian Americans. And if you are a human with any kind of soul, these attacks bothered you, but especially if you are Asian American, these attacks hit you a little different, right? And so Jordan VanHemert felt the same way about this, and so he decided to communicate through his music. So he wrote a song on his new album called I Am Not a Virus, and it is just a response. It's just his way of communicating what we're all kind of feeling. And so here's a little snippet of it. It's called I Am Not a Virus by Jordan VanHemert. So yeah, I Am Not a Virus by Jordan VanHemert. just another way that we can communicate. Music is powerful like that. There's not even words necessary because the music speaks for itself. So thank you for that, Jordan. And Tani, I think you also, along the same vein, you kind of have a recommendation for us?
Yeah, I mean, when I saw you kind of mentioning this with the whole movement, I guess you can say, there was an Asian American history album that was released last month by Jason Chu and Alan Z called Face Value. Hip hop album. They have a lot of guests on there. Some I guess you could call it fairly notable guests. Ruby Ibarra, she's a Filipino American rapper, is on there. Dante Basco participates.
Oh,
there you go. See, yep, he's on there with them. Ronnie Cheng does the outro. So off the top of my head, they've got some great producers on there. But the cool thing about that is that they talk a lot about Asian American history. There it is. Model minority. The vibe between us and the black brothers. You got admitted to dominant white college. Still, you ain't valid for most of them white collars. Southeast Asian dark cousins. Drive down the streets, police radio buzzing. Gaslighted to thinking we made progress. Still, they killed Christian Hall and said nothing. Shh. Not a model, not a monolith. Hey, not a pawn for your politics. Nah, learn from Gandhi and these guys came to Traverse Music Group through a mutual acquaintance at Tractivist, Richie Tractivist, which is an Asian American website for music. You can find a lot of like Asian American artists on there. But this was cool because last month being Asian American History Month, they put this together and we were able to distribute it and help these guys out. And it's been exciting seeing it grow.
Yeah, it's good. All right. Thanks for plugging that. All right, so we're picking up. Those are a couple projects that kind of caught our eye as something that you might want to listen to. You might want to just hear what they're saying. They're giving us a voice, which I love. I like it. I've been listening to it. Good picks. All right, we're gonna get into kind of another segment. We had talked about some people that we thought were in the past influential and currently huge, like. Town, the Get Down, Japanese Breakfast, Nikki and the 88 Rising, her and Olivia Rodrigo, and now we're getting into some. Now I actually really like this segment here. We're talking about artists that you should be listening to. Maybe you've never heard of them. Maybe they've been around for a while. Maybe they're new, but maybe they're only on YouTube. But we wanted to recommend some people to add to your playlist and give them a listen. Tony, why don't you start us off on this category? Anyone we should be listening to?
One that I've been listening to recently. He's been around for a while. I think he started in 2008. The band's called Tim Be Told. He's Asian American. He's got a really interesting story behind him. Up until now, like during the pandemic, he released his latest album called Love and Happiness. I highly recommend checking it out. It's good stuff. I was watching over you, and I heard it when you called for help. Underneath the sky that fell, when you lost your way, little one I knew. I was watching over you. He's been independent the whole time. He had an opportunity at one point to get signed, but decided he wanted to keep his creative freedom and not be tied to anyone telling him how to create his music. And so his new album, Love and Happiness, came out during the pandemic in June of 20. He just released a single. It got reposted yesterday. By Jeremy Lin on Instagram.
Yeah, and he's on a little bit of a journey himself, right? Like he started out as a Christian band, doing some music with some friends, and they a fair amount of success. And then he came out as gay, and it was really divisive, in the Christian world.
Yeah, like it was 2017 he came out, and then he tells the story. Obviously, like I know him and met him like right before the pandemic, and Yeah, so I mean, a lot happened when he came out within his church, and he lost a lot of fans, and he wasn't sure if he was going to be able to come back or if he even wanted to do music. He felt a lot of the not necessarily responsibility, but it came from him coming out. So this latest album actually is his first since then. He's at a place now where he's super happy, loves what he's doing. And this latest song, actually, it's called Watching Over You. The one that Jeremy Lin posted is for a compilation for Beloved Arise is what it's called. They put it out, and it's all leading up to Queer Youth of Faith Day, which is June 30th. Yeah. So by the time this podcast comes out, it would have passed. But he's very active. What he had said was that he wants to help people like himself reclaim their faith. I think that's a term that he's used. But
that's amazing. I had lost track of him since To Mutual first came out, which I was connected to through friends from Wheaton College. Like, I think one of my friends actually did like his early music videos or something, but that's amazing to hear his journey and that he's, kind of gone through this valley and can help other people in his similar situations. That's great to hear.
Yeah. Yeah, he's originally from Virginia, but he's now in the Bay Area as well. So, that Bay Area connection somehow, it's been a cool friendship, and I have been listening. So I'm not selfishly like naming him just because I know him, but I kind of am. But his music is great.
Yeah. No, good rec. I like this pick. Christy, who do you have for us on someone that we should be listening to that we may not be listening to?
Yeah, so my pick is Magik. The Magik Orchestra is started by my friend Mina Choi, a Bay Area musician. Hey, Bay Area.
Hey, I love it, man.
She graduated from the SF Conservatory and started the Magik Orchestra, which is a dial-up orchestra, which is basically if any artists want an orchestra or a certain, anywhere from like a duet or quartet to a full orchestra to play on a record or in a show that they're playing, they can contact the Magik Orchestra, and they have members that they dial in to play for different shows and for recording sessions and stuff like that. But she's also a musician and composer. And so they did a solo record, which is just their own music. So they're featured on a lot of artists like Death Cab for Cutie, John Vanderslice, like a bunch of other bigger artists, but this is their first like solo work. So Magik, self-titled album, Magik. And I think the song you're picking is
Circuitry, and it's magic spelled with a K. Never heard of that. A dial-up orchestra. How cool is that to be part of a dial-up?
Yeah.
When I clicked the link that you sent, Christy, I was like, wow. Like I've appreciated hearing new music that I wasn't aware of.
And so Mina Choi, the founder, she is Korean American. Grew up in Berkeley and Maryland, so Maryland and East Coast connection. I didn't actually know her in Maryland, but we met when we were in California. And she's Korean American, and her parents actually live in Korea, so they're actually at my apartment right now because they're visiting and they need a place to stay. So while I'm here, Mina's parents are at my apartment.
All right. Yeah. Man, the connections run deep with this group right now. The connections are everywhere. All right, I have no connection to my... I've never met this person. I've never even heard of her before. She randomly showed up on a playlist. I like that when I'm on Spotify. Sometimes I'll just click someone else's playlist and I'll let it play. And this person is named Lucy Park. She kind of, well, I'll let you listen to her. Here she is. This is her song, Rain.
Walking on water, holding you near, hoping if God don't break you, we can stay right here. 'Cause your love is like rain on my skin. It softens the surface, sinking second best, don't know how to act, and it's overcast when I drift away from
And like Tanya was saying, if I didn't tell you she was Korean, you wouldn't know she's Korean. But she's just smooth.
No, hold on. I want to dig into this. What do you mean? What would a Korean person sound like, Curtis?
But all I'm saying is that I guess music is just such an international language that back in the day, if you listen to a little Andy Lau or a little Vivian, or a little Wang Fei, you would know they were Chinese, right? You just listen to them and you would know. But now music is so universal, or songs are so universal now that I think when you hear someone and I say, "Oh, who's this?" I said Lucy Park. You might be a little surprised that she's Korean. I don't know. Would you? No, just me.
One of the debates in my mind has always been like, when it comes to Asian American music, it's like it's always Asians doing, whether it's American, like the style of music that you're doing, it's not traditionally Asian, right? So there's no sound that you could say, Asian Americans were doing, and so it's always doing R&B or doing pop or doing this or doing that, and it's so that makes it a little bit harder to kind of put a place for Asian Americans in music, I guess. Like at least back when back early 2000, it was like, how do you break through? How do you and why aren't more breaking through? And sometimes so there are some people that try to incorporate more of the Asian instruments into it, but to do it well and to make it sound mainstream or however way you want to put it, like that's always been kind of a debate running through my own mind, like how do you personify Asians or Asian Americans in music outside of just Asians doing pop music and then they make it big.
And it's coming kind of full circle. Like when I went to Hong Kong in the 90s, and they were doing a lot of covers. You'd be in a Hong Kong cafe and you would hear the Cranberries sung by Wang Fei, right? Or you'd hear, these covers that Hong Kong artists would do of American songs. And now with the, we can't do a Asian music podcast without talking about K-pop, but now with the mega bands like Blackpink and BTS and Twice and these groups coming out of Asia are having their influence on America now. I'm sure there's producers looking at what they're doing in Korea and looking at what they're doing elsewhere and saying, man, we should be doing that too. And so it's kind of coming full circle where there's no necessarily Asian sound anymore. It's kind of just become music. It's just become sound. Like that sounds good and people like it, and it doesn't matter who's singing it, it just sounds good. So
I mean, I think you clarified a little bit about also like not just the singer sounding Korean, but like the instrumentation and the recording quality like that. Yes, it's you can't tell that it's not coming from another country, maybe. But
yeah, you called me out on that one. I don't know what a Korean singer sounds like, Christy, but yeah, you're right. I have no defense for what I said. I should have just said I like Lucy Park because she's a good singer and because she's a great musician, and buy her record if you can. There's a couple other sounds that Tani recommended. Who else you got for us, Tani?
Okay, so one artist that I found recently, her name's Tatiana Manaois. She's Filipino, part Filipino American. I don't know a lot about her because there's not a lot about her personal life that you can find online, but she started as a YouTube singer, and it looks like she's been independent all along, but she's got huge YouTube following, like 914,000 YouTube, her Spotify. So I don't know a lot about her, but I just had to mention her because, she's one that looks like has done it herself, like independently.
She's good. This is Helplessly, Tatiana Manaois. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Sorry, Tatiana.
It's not that easy with you here, but I know I want you to stay. See, this could be us in a few years, but just let me, you like to play. It's like every day I'm kicking rocks. I could fly away, but you got me at a complete stop. How do you manage to keep me going, but somehow you keep me from going? See, you distract me, but I'm distracted without you. I don't know how to focus, baby, teach me how to. 'Cause I'm standing still again. But if you love me just like the
was Tatiana Manaois. I still don't know if I'm saying that right, but she's from, just watching her video, she's from San Francisco. Man, the Bay Area is bustling with new Asian artists. So hopefully you listeners out there are finding some new ones. That's kind of our goal here, to introduce you to some things. Christy, got one more for us?
Yeah, earlier we were talking, and someone that popped into my head that I hadn't mentioned before, so this is a good place to mention, is MC Jin, one of the first Asian American rappers to be signed into a major label. I don't know if he still is, but when I was listening to him in college, he was signed as a Rough Riders, which is like, up there, not just like some little. He came to my college, so I met him when I was in college, have a picture with him. But MC Jin, who apparently is still doing some stuff, and Tani was talking about a project with Tim Be Told.
That was in 2016, but they worked together. MC Jin actually has a song with Wyclef that just came out last month, so that's on Spotify playlist.
Yeah, so this is Stop the Hatred by MC Jin, Wyclef Jean.
My grandma passed away at the top of last year. At the funeral drowning cause I couldn't hold back tears. But after all that's happened this past year, part of me sees grace in the fact that she's not here. As a grandson, this statement's a fact. No elderly should ever be victim of such a heinous attack. Prey on the weak, only cowards would take advantage of that. No more staying meek, it's time to take a stand and react. A simple trip to the market, thought the streets were safe. Turn targets, I speak up for my people's sake. From this pandemic, I'm hopeful that we'll see.
Yeah, but I just remember listening to him in college and being like, it would have been that question to the first time you saw someone like you, but this was in like rap and R&B, like this was a big thing.
Yes,
this guy getting signed to Rough Riders, like blew my mind. And his like catchphrase is "Aya," which is my people.
Definitely a trailblazer for the community.
Yeah, for sure. Hopefully we open your eyes or open your ears to a couple new tunes that you might not have heard of, or some artists that you might not have heard of. At the end here, I wanted to give you guys any closing thoughts on Asian music. We've touched on a couple different topics, but any thoughts you have on Asian music, Asian American music?
I think it's great to see us represented in different fields, like not just classical music, but now into more pop, R&B, hip hop, rap, indie. Like it's great that we can be starting to be represented more.
Yeah.
Not just your yo-yo Maz, but, and no flack to him. Like he's great.
Right. And I think just the quality of music coming out now, it's a lot of progress from, I started out in 2000. I missed a good chunk of it in the middle, that whole YouTube generation that really kicked things off. There's a lot of other Asian American artists that came out of that we probably didn't mention on this podcast, but the quality of music now is a lot more advanced.
I don't have much to say in terms of, I've said most of my piece, but I'm just happy. I'm happy to see people out there. I'm happy to listen to it, happy to buy it if I can, or see them live would be even better. But yeah, like I said, for the next generation, for my kids, your kids, I'm just hoping that they see more people like them on shows, on Spotify, on YouTube. It's just really an exciting time, I think, and I'm glad to be able to do this to maybe get someone to try them they haven't tried before. So thank you for sharing your insights with us. Just on the outro here, we are supposed to pick a winner for the book giveaway. Let me see. I gotta do this spontaneously. All right, so as I mentioned on our last podcast, I said if you write me an email, I will pick one of you lucky winners out there, one of you lucky listeners out there, to win my copy of Crying in H Mart. And so we had a few, and so let me do in front of Tani and Christy to prove that I'm not a shyster. And I wrote their names on these pieces of paper, and I'm gonna pick the winner. Thank you for writing in. Please write in so I know who's out there. Whoever's in Ohio, write me. I don't know who you are. Like most people in the Bay Area are probably friends or family, right? But someone in Ohio is downloading this podcast, and I want to know who it is. So here's the winner. The winner is Amy. All right. Thank you, Amy, for writing in to the InfatuAsian podcast. I will get your mailing information sometime, and we'll get you that book. But thank you for listening, everyone out there. Please write in. Let us know who you are, especially you in Ohio. I got a few in Ohio, a couple in Nevada. Like 13 downloads in Nevada. Who's in Nevada? Do I know anyone in Nevada? I don't know. But I hope you're enjoying the
podcast. People are traveling.
Maybe, or the VPN is showing me that they're in Ohio, but I don't know. If you're in Ohio or Nevada, Massachusetts, Singapore, India, wherever you are, we have international listeners. Whoever you are, come right in. I will not put you on a list. Don't worry. It's just me in my basement. There's no marketing lists. There's no evil intent to collecting your email addresses. I will not sell your information. But write to me just to let me know you're out there. You can message me too on Facebook. Up to you. But until next time, I want to thank my guests again. Thank you, Christy. Thank you, Tani. There's going to be more episodes coming soon. We're recording one on the Olympics. We're going to record a couple on YouTube. I just figured out an episode we're going to do on Shang-Chi, the Marvel movie coming out. So we're going to talk about that one. Some more books we're reading. So there's new stuff in the works coming down the pike. So on behalf of Christy, Tani, and myself, we hope you all are all happy, healthy, and safe. Thanks so much for listening, and talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.